Wow.
All right, here we are. We're live.
Crazy.
It's season 6, episode 16, the final episode.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, hey everybody.
How's it going?
Good. Good.
Okay. Nice seeing you guys. We'll see you next year.
See you next fall, actually.
Yeah.
We were here.
We're here.
Wow.
I did do some hobbying though. A little more
Oh, yeah?
productive last 2 weeks, so that was good.
What kind of productive stuff have you been doing?
Oh, I finished that British regiment I've been working on forever. I know the camera won't show it for heck, but I'm still gonna hold it up anyway.
Let me expand you out there.
Yeah. So this
There
is
you
my
go.
first British regiment that I've done. This is
Nice.
the command. Oh, why? It's always opposite what you think it should be. And I just kind of do it the same way. I'm using the square bases and then making these movement trays. How close can I get that it looks decent?
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, these are, and then I'll show one more. It's 24 man. Here's just kind of, whoops, go this way. Got the sergeant on the end there. The Wargames factory, plastic miniatures that I got with that Liberty or Death box set. I've been just kind of plowing through that, and then having a lot of fun with that. Actually, I'm really back into the AWI. I plan on probably that's what I'll work on the rest of this year for sure. And then I've got another 24 glued together, primed. And I just started putting a few base coats on right before the show. I sat down and started doing that, and that's been fun. And it kind of happened too with the Continental Wargames factory. Is I kind of learned some of the poses that are a little awkward. There's things that you can kind of trim, before you glue them together, so that their arm is a little more normal, or their head isn't looking at their feet; it's looking up like it should be. And I trying to make a unique command stand for each one, as far as the two command figures that are in the box to make the regiment, and otherwise they'd all be identical. So I've been, as you get more familiar with the different arms and stuff, it's like, well, that one would work on here, and I can chop this hand off and put a sword in this hand, so it's different. So I've been kind of getting used to the figures enough to start doing some customizing to make them unique and a little more natural looking. I've trimmed the hats down too, because I always hated, I don't know why when they designed them, but the tops of the hats, you can kind of, well, I guess I've trimmed all these, but that what they call that taping, that white tape that goes around the hats, it's huge. It's way out of scale on these Wargames factory miniatures. So I actually took, which you can kind of, I'll hold it up again to kind of see, but see from the top on those front two, I took a hobby knife to them and just trimmed them down, and
Okay.
it looks way more in scale. It kind of matches the Perry's.
So when you say the taping, do you mean the area that you have the white stripe around the brim on the top?
Yeah, because don't they call that tape?
Is that what they call it? I don't know. That's why I asked.
It's like a ribbon or whatever, but I think they call it tape, because they'll say, like when you read the description, I could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking.
Could be.
They'll talk about, it's a black hat with yellow tape.
Yeah.
Not Scotch, I presume. but it was really massive, and it was really thick. I mean, it was way out of scale, and it always kind of bothered me. And you try to paint, it needs to be white, but how did you make it look so not so massive? And so actually, once I got kind of good at it with a sharp hobby knife, I was whipping them out pretty fast. And with those other few changes I did, I'm really actually pretty happy with them.
Yeah, it came out really nice.
Yeah, thanks. So that's been fun.
Cut a bunch of heads out and just trim them all up in a big pile, right?
Yeah, that's not how I do it. That's how you would do it, Rusty. How I build one guy at a time, and kind of four. I have 3 or 4 on my desk as I cut them out, and then I'll glue those, and then I'll do another 3 or 4. Otherwise, the parts get kind of jumbled, and it gets so tedious. That way, it's like all of a sudden I look up here and I've got 8 of them glued together. and I don't do it all in one sitting, because I just, maybe a half hour, an hour a night, I'll work on that and do something else too. But so then all of a sudden you've got I had the 24, and now I'll paint them in groups of 8. Usually start with one of the 8 that's just the general infantry, and then do the other one because you're not quite burned out on that yet, and then do the 8 that are the command stands. So that's kind of something to look forward to. It's a lot more interesting and different. And then I do get the flags that I'm using. I get from Warfare Miniatures. I think it's that's the only place you can get them. And there's a guy, I don't quite understand it because when I first found him, it's under like League of Osterberg or something. He started making them for, wasn't Napoleonic, but for like the Landschnick.
Okay.
And so then he branched out to where he was doing them for the AWI, and they're affordable, and he's in the United States, which helps. And then I just like the style of them. It kind of matches with my painting style, where I kind of use kind of harsher highlights to make things pop, and his flag design is kind of that way. And he's got quite a range. So, but this first unit I did with the red coats and the yellow facings, and which can be any regiment. Technically, the flag, if you looked at it with a magnifying glass, it's the 80th foot, but obviously it can be the 44th or all the different ones that it can substitute in just fine. And then this next group I'm going to do with red coats and white facings, and just to try to get as much variety as I can. And they'll technically be the 17th is what the flag is that he had made, but again, you can't. Most of the British flags from the AWI, and maybe it's the same for French and Indian War, Palmer, I don't really know, but it's the color, like the yellow is the facing, and then it's got the Union Jack in the corner, but then, which I fold them all up, but that center wreath thing, it's got some Roman numerals that are really small in the center. That's really, in most cases, generally that's the main difference. And so, it can be a real generic unit, which is actually really handy,
I don't know. I never really enjoyed that part of it, but I did do my homework and at the time, and I actually kind of initially just chose one that was one of 4 or 5 that was within the Warlord Games flag set that they came, and then what I ended up doing, or something close to that, I think. And what I ended up doing, because the regiments were still around, like the ones from French and Indian War and the ones that were from like AWI, I think they were still around because they were close enough in time.
Yep.
And then I just stuck with them, and I never noticed the color of the flag and the facing being the same. I mean, mine's yellow too, like for the guys that I got. For the British, it's yellow.
Okay.
But basically, and then what was interesting is for the British, because I'm all about the British versus the French, with French and Indian War, and with the British, they use like a country flag, and then they use like an actual unit, like a regiment flag.
That's what the British do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then with the French, it's 2 of the same. It was unless. There were some speculation where there was a time when there was a white flag. It was all white for like bit of a national, but they were pretty much regional flags. Like they pretty much you could just mostly use even 2 of just the regional flags. Mine's were the Languedoc, were the ones that and it took a bit of research for that, but it wasn't the same, and it drove me crazy when I was trying to get it right. I didn't understand why it was different for the British than the French, and I felt like I'm missing the French national flag. And I think if you look at the history, they weren't using as much of a national flag, even though they had that white flag at the time. It still wasn't really used in that setting like that, and so it was strange. It was strange.
That's what makes the British so nice in the AWI. They all technically, in the beginning of the war, it was pretty uniform, and then they, gradually got away from some of the real, some of the rules that they were following early on. But they always had the Union Jack, and it was to the right, and then the regimental flag on the left, and the color always matched the facing colors. But on the Continental side, it's just speculation after speculation for the most part. So you kind of
change from year to year.
I knew this at one point. I think I'm probably going to get it wrong because it's been a while since I painted up my stuff and used it. But isn't the French, they use the fleur de lis symbol, right? Isn't that the name of it?
Yeah, fleur de lis. Yeah,
fleur de lis.
Flower.
Yeah, I think the
Really?
French flag, like more national flag, was a combination of white with the fleur-de-lis or blue with the fleur-de-lis at a certain point, and sometimes you could use that. But when you ordered from like the guys that I got the flags from they're a really nice company that I ordered from overseas. They're not Battle Flag. I'm trying to remember their name.
GMB.
GMB, yeah, that's who I got it from. When you order the French stuff for French Indian War, you don't get one of those. You only get 2 of whatever regiment it is, and they don't even sell the fleur-de-lis flag for it separate. So, I'm pretty sure that it is okay. Like it was typical just to actually have just your regional flag.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just went the cheap route and looked everything up online and then printed it off.
Yeah, no.
I thought you were going to say that you hand drew each one.
He stitched them into cloth material.
Yeah.
Yep. I loomed it all, the whole thing with.
There is one company that makes flags that are printed on some sort of a fabric material. Every once in a while I see a YouTube video where that's the flags that they use, and they are cool, interesting.
That's kind of old school.
Yeah.
It sounds like an old school, like kind of
it would probably have a cool effect, but the paper ones, these are nice heavy paper, and I glop them in glue and and fold them around and stuff, and they don't really crinkle, and the coloring doesn't bleed or come off. So so I've been happy with them. It's one of those things, once you kind of commit to something, I usually just sort of stick with it so that they all everything kind of looks uniform, they're the same size, the same style, and no reason other than I'm just anal. I guess we lost Rusty. He got kicked out of his own show.
Oh no. There he is. He's back.
There he is.
Your connection's doing pretty good. I didn't even think about it, but Dan's connection's better this week.
Yeah.
Well, I got totally kicked out of StreamYard.
Wow.
It wasn't that my computer, it just kicked me out. The whole thing just disappeared.
Naughty?
What's that?
Were you being naughty?
No, I don't know what the heck happened there.
That's interesting. So that's basically what I've been doing, but it felt good to get the one done, and I got a lot of enthusiasm and it takes a lot. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've built plastic miniatures, and Rusty, that the Wargames factory ones they're fiddly. Once you get once I get going and learn the tricks, I've gotten really good, and I can build them really fast, but they do take time. You glue both arms on, and the head, and then the back of the hat, and then I put them on the base, and then I glue sand on the base, and I actually go through every arm and everything, and I scrape the mold lines off, just because it's the amount of time I'm spending on painting them. I don't want to have that mold line staring at me. There's probably not worth the time, but I'm having fun painting them to this level. But
all right, I have a couple questions about your Live to Your Death box. How many Brits were in that box?
There was 90 British, 30 Hessian, 8 Native American, just 1 sprue, and then there's 3 cannons to share between the 2 forces. Why it's 3, I have no idea. It should be 4. All they had to put 1 more sprue in there. Then there've been 4 cannons and 4 mounted generals, but or commanders. So that's what was on the British side, yes. But it was interesting. I don't know if I mentioned it in the past here, but I was starting to add miniatures that weren't Wargames Factory, and I wanted to keep the same bases. So I think I told you this, but I'd reached out to Warlord Games to see if I could buy just some of the bases, and they said I couldn't, but you could use Renedra but I'm like, I want them the same way, and I magnetize them. I've got them all magnetized so I can turn them upside down. They won't tip out, and I store them this way. And so, go ahead. Go ahead.
Say bringing that up, it's like they don't give you enough bases. When I got mine, I just looked at this like, I'm not going to have enough bases for everything. So I went and bought some the correct size, but they're laser cut.
Okay.
MDF bases, and I went the whole route that way instead.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and that worked fine.
And so I might have some extra plastic
I never even
bases.
thought about asking you that. And so
Yeah.
what I did, I just kind of reached out on one of the Facebook groups, and what's his face? Eccentric man. Baldock, is that a ball? Or in the UK, the Eccentric Man
Mhm.
has that's
Yeah.
his YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's
And
actually on our Musty page too.
yeah, Ken, that's who it is, right? Ken Baldock or
Mhm.
something like that. But anyway, he actually answered and said, yeah, he thought he had some, because I knew there was a lot of people that use those miniatures, but they were basing them their own way, and I thought, well, they got to be floating around out there somewhere. And so he's like, yeah, I'll dig through, and he dug a box out, and yeah, he had like, I don't know, like 6 sprues of these bases. And he said, well, you got to use for some miniatures too. He said, I'm done. I've got some sprues with some stuff on it. I've got a few new sprues. So he threw all this stuff in a box, and I think I gave him $35, including shipping from the UK. And I got, I mean, like 6 or 7 brand new sprues of uh, Continental Militia. There's a sprue of Cannon unused. There was a sprue of British unused. There's like 3 or 4 sprues of Continental unused, and then all the bases. And so that's been nice because I'm using some of those parts for my, customization, cutting apart, and then the bases. So that was awesome. I mean, that just kind of shows, kind of people that are in the community. And he was happy to see him. He said, they're just plugging up my closet. I'm never going to use them. I said, well, what do you want for them? Whatever you want, I'll do it. If it's reasonable. And
I
it was
had
awesome.
the private chat thing up, not the comments. And I just noticed I should just do a shout out. We got Chris, Walkabout Games, Clark Step. We got Todd, Wardrobe, Tim, Broken Dice.
Oh yeah,
everybody in the house. So hey everybody, thanks for joining for our last show of the season.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I watched Tim did a video. He does some pretty in-depth. I mean, he's putting some editing work into that.
Yeah, his campaign.
We lose Palmer.
Huh?
Yeah. I mean, where he. Oh, I thought you were froze up, but you were just looking. You just weren't moving.
No, that's just me normally.
But yeah, no, that's okay. But yeah, he that campaign thing is cool that he's doing.
So I got a question: is that like with your Hessians, are you going to go Fusiliers, or are you going to go make them
the Grenadiers?
Grenadiers, or are you going to make them Jaegers?
Well, on those sprues, technically I haven't studied it out too much, but I was looking at it the other night, and the Jaegers have the shorter coats is the way these are designed, and they're in more motion poses. And I think there might be like 3 on a sprue or 6 maybe.
Yeah, there's not very many of them, so
not very
you're
many.
going to make some.
So I was trying to. I'll decide. I was tempted to do them as Grenadiers because there's enough to make a 24-man regiment of Grenadiers with what they gave me in that box set. And then if I want more, if I want some Fusiliers and some, I really have my eye on the Perrys or the Brigade Games Jaegers. They have some really cool, advancing and crouching poses and stuff. And so I might, because I won't probably buy another box of them, just Hessians. I will probably just bulk things out with medals, I suppose, because I won't need tons of them. That's my thinking. I like the look of the Grenadiers with the tall hats.
Well, I still have, I think, a whole unopened box of Hessians. So.
Oh, that you won't use, you think, or no?
I don't know. I don't.
Because you're not.
Maybe
you're
not, because I have a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. I'll definitely want to add some more. My goal now is to finish painting the 2nd regiment. I've got enough miniatures to glue together one more regiment, and so I'm hoping by harvest that's how far I am. And then I think I would paint that Perry box set that I got from Palmer would be the next on the docket. They have the short coats, and I was going to paint those as probably the 23rd Royal Fusiliers, and they'll have the blue facings then. And
Cool.
I might even use the different hats that I don't remember the terminology, but it's the round hat where it's folded on the one side. I might do that because that's what you see a lot of the images when you look online. That would be a little bit later in the war when they did that, but
yeah, a lot of them were cut down. The light infantry they started going that light infantry look.
Yeah, and they always talk about most of the Perry miniatures on the British side that are regular line infantry are all what they call the Saratoga uniforms, and they're all the short coats, and yeah, where they were, kind of updating to what worked in the environment that they were, fighting in, and definitely the shorter coats went away from the tricorn type hats and were more into I can't think of the term they use for those round hats, but more things like that. And so I might do that to make it different. I don't know. I'll have to see what look, but the Perrys are better miniatures than the Wargames Factory. But the Wargames Factory, if you don't mind spending the time, you can make them really nice.
Yeah, you get a lot of them.
Yeah, unless you find them cheap, though. A lot of times it's about the same price. You get more. You get 38 in the Perrys, and you only get like 30 in the Wargames Factory, and a lot of times the pricing is about the same. So then it just kind of depends. Well, if you want the long coats, then the Perrys don't make plastics in the long coats.
Yeah,
it's Warrant 68 uniform they call it or something. Anyway,
so Palmer, what have you been up to?
Well, I all I really did since the last show was have that game of the horse and musket that I put on the Musty page. We were gonna have a Warhammer Fantasy game, but we got talking about other stuff, and I kind of suggested we kind of play a shorter game that night. I wanted to try some of the stuff that my friend Mark is doing, so we had that horse and musket game, which I put up there, and it was really a lot of fun. It was good. Kind of a simple kind of game, but it was kind of simple. One of those games that's like simple but causes you really to think. There's like it still has a lot of strategic options and tension and stuff.
Somehow I missed that. Can you share more details on what I missed that post somehow?
Oh, well, and it's funny because I was just thinking. It's not called Age of Reason. I was just thinking. What did I call it here? I had to literally write it down because I'd never heard of it before.
Okay.
And I have it right here. It's called Simplicity and Practice.
Oh, never heard of that. You're right. Huh.
Yeah, and it's actually really cool. It was a lot of fun, actually.
Is it a skirmish game then, or what?
No, it's more like simulating bigger battles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And apparently, the author does like books where you could do ancients and medieval, and it's not just horse and musket. So yeah.
Where'd you find that at?
I didn't find it. This was completely set up by Mark. He painted both sides. I'd never even seen it. It's sort of like a one pager rule.
Yep.
So I was able to read the rules right in front of him as he was setting it up, and really grasp it within that period of time.
So could you use your French and Indian War stuff, or is that not enough, or based wrong, or what?
Well, it's
wrong scale.
It's meant for small scale, like where you're putting out. Okay. Like, I think it's meant for smaller scale. You probably could use it if you had a big enough table and enough miniatures, but really, it's sort of meant for more of a streamlined.
Okay. What scale did you guys play?
I thought
20 mil.
I think that's what it was. Yeah. He actually, I think he said it was 172.
Okay, isn't that 20?
I think it is pretty close.
182nd or 187th.
Is that what he said?
187th is 20 mil.
Okay.
Well, trying to remember if he said in the comments what it was, but
because I asked if that was 15 mil because the picture was misleading and he said it was 20.
Okay, Clyde Dashing just said he just jumped in. He's wondering what period we were speaking of with the long coats. Yeah, we were talking about the American War of Independence, where early war they were like that Warrant 68 uniform they called it, with the longer coats, and then through the war they tended to shorten them down. Yeah.
Yeah, if you spend too much time going through the brush, you're getting hung up, and tore up, and
they were hot, and it was just probably.
Especially when they were going more into the southern campaign, they were.
Yeah, that's where they really started, where everybody was switching to them. Yeah, at least my understanding. I'm not an expert at all, and it's funny you read, and you get contradicting statements from different places and different images. That's like, no, that's not how that. So it's a little bit of speculation, and then do what pleases you, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Chris said I only buy Wargames Factory AWI if really cheap. The building them drives me nuts. Yeah. It's like,
they're tricky.
It took me a while to figure out how to do it. And once you figured it out, and I just all I did was assemble them, because you get into that groove of assembling, then you don't think
you learn
about
some tricks, and I was using a tweezer. I learned if I stuck the one on, let the glue set just a little bit, and then the other one with the, and boom, I got to where I learned the little tricks, but it does take some patience and some commitment. Yeah. They don't,
Clyde asked, have we tried the Brigade Games AWI? It's like, no, I have not.
Yep, I have. That's what I've got. Yes. And they just did a Kickstarter, which I had backed and did just kind of at a lower level, but to get some mounted cavalry. They scale well with Perry's. That was their goal, because they're sculpted by Paul Hicks. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, the thing about the campaigns, there wasn't a lot of horse. That was the one thing. You don't
need a lot of cavalry. There was some, Monmouth Courthouse, it was important, and they used them largely for scouting and harassing, but not so much in battles, except for just a couple noteworthy cases.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's my turn to do my update, right?
Well, I'll just say, just lastly, because I don't have any other update as far as the gaming, but my musty drink for tonight is I actually for the last night on the show, I just grabbed a gin and tonic. It's a pre-prepared one, and so so it's just a craft cocktail is what they call it. So that's what I'm having. Summer, to celebrate the coming of summer, a nice gin and tonic here.
It's like last night, my wife and I had tacos, and she had, what called Monaco, I think it's called, and we had a Mai Tai. It's pre-mixed cocktails, Mai Tai and a some type of orange drink or something, kind of tropical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Mai Tai to me tasted like Hawaiian punch.
That's perfect for summer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Well, for me, my update of the night.
You got some cool things done, I've seen.
Yeah, I got a few things. All right. First thing off the bat is I did finish the M10 Wolverine tank destroyer.
That you printed.
I printed this off and got her done.
Yeah, nice.
So if you want to see a little close-up of it, it's on the latest video I posted, my update video. But also on that is the M36 Jackson.
Yes.
Nice.
So now I got some heavy firepower.
Yeah, you do.
So I can go either or, one or the other.
Remind me where you got those files.
Yeah, it's like I can send them to you, or a link to them.
Yeah. Well, I'm always just, because at some point I'm thinking, maybe I'll get one, and it's just nice to see where's good places to go.
Yeah, it's like for bolt action, you can only have one tank destroyer.
Yep.
So
I had thought about
printing off a second hull so I could have one of each.
Mm-hmm.
But really, there's no need unless we're playing tank war.
Yeah, unless you're doing that, there's really can't think of many in a grand you can do whatever you want. I mean, if 2 players want to do it, you do what you want. But yeah, it's not set up for that.
Yeah. But the big thing of the night,
literally, it's like a 1-1 scale.
yeah, I finished up Electra. She's all done.
That's super nice.
It's
nice.
It came off her stand. There. So yeah, she was did a nice job on her. I need to actually do a video of just her.
Yeah. And again, that's one that you 3D printed, assembled.
Yep.
Did the whole thing.
Did the whole thing. So there you go.
Cool.
And it's a Sanex is the name of the Sanex 3D.
Okay. Do they do a wide range of things? Or mostly superheroes, or?
Yeah, they do a lot of comic book heroes.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. There's a whole bunch of things if you want. And a nerd's nerd.
Yeah, just joined.
He should be happy. This should look familiar to him. That's where I got the file from. It was his.
Oh, yeah. You might recognize that then, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you meant he was into comic book heroes or something.
Yeah. You clearly don't have enough minis if you have room for such a large scale Daredevil and Elektra. Well,
clearly.
Here's Daredevil. He's a little big.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we print off a whole bunch of them, then we could play like Palmer does and play his Marvel Crisis Protocol, right?
Yeah, boy.
We play in the whole living room.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was a really nice kit. It was like printed up really nice, and it was. I love painting tanks because I used to be a tanker, so it's like when you're an armor officer, you love to play with armor stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, my drink of the night is this little guy.
What
it's
is
a Long
it?
Island
Long
iced tea.
Yeah, just because that'd be my only guess. That's great.
Nice. I mixed it up this afternoon and threw it in the freezer.
It's a little work involved.
That's a good idea.
So it's nice and cold.
Yeah, you got more ambition than I have on that.
But it's amazing. After about 4 hours in the freezer, it didn't freeze. Makes you wonder why.
Yeah, right.
Lots of antifreeze in it. See, they throw around the ottoman. Oh, they throw the ottoman around the room at each other. Superheroes going to war. That would be something to see. Way back in the day, it was like my friends, we played Harpoon. I don't know if you ever remember the modern
board game?
Yeah. The board game Harpoon.
I played that.
And we got together and we played in the gym. So everything was at large scale. So you're moving your fleets around. You know, we had little cardboard ships and everything, and we just laid everything. It had our missiles going out and all that fun stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's what you call macro scale wargaming.
Yeah, that give you a real sense.
Well, we do have some topics for the night.
What'd you come up with in the end?
Love some Harpoon. That was a classic 80s game, Harpoon.
Yep, 80s, yep. I do recall.
One of the first computer games I had was Harpoon.
I remember when they did the computer version.
Used to play that all the time. All right, so we got 3 topics tonight. We can just pick which one we want to go through.
Good.
topic number 1 is your favorite game mechanic or mechanics. Or number 2, game components and the importance of good quality. And 3, hobby motivation with large projects. Dan, any of those 3 you want to start with?
They're all good. Excuse me. The one that catches my eye kind of is, because that's kind of where I'm at now, is the motivation for large projects.
All right. Motivation.
Yeah.
Let's get some motivation.
Let's get some mojo. Yeah. I don't so much struggle with motivation, really. Too bad, but I think for me the important thing is to, which you guys probably know me well enough now to know that I have to think about it for, I have to really analyze it and see, like, over months, if this is or years or whatever, if it's something that's always interested me, that time period, or that, or whether it's Tolkien or whatever it is. And then, and then I have to look and see, I have to find miniatures that I'm going to enjoy painting. And so I put a lot of thought into it. So I'm, because I do watch some YouTube channels, and they kind of jump from thing to thing, and they'll post a video where they're starting this big project, and you're going to follow along, and they get a couple months into it and they've burned out on it. That doesn't really happen to me because I've spent so much time thinking on it, and I know myself well enough to know if that's something that I'm going to enjoy doing. And but then I think the other, so that's just me, and that's kind of my personality. So, and then I think the next thing, important is to obviously set realistic expectations. I mean, if you've got, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a baby on the way, then you're going to, not that you can't do a large project, but you're going to need to be realistic on what you can accomplish in a given amount of time. I mean, maybe it is a project you don't mind working on for 4 or 5 years and here and there. But if you set realistic goals like that, I think you're more likely to be able to stick with it and break it into bite-sized chunks. For me personally, I don't go out and buy every miniature I need for the project, and then I don't, clean them all up and then base or prime them or mount them onto your painting, stick or whatever you're using. I don't do it in huge batches like that, because I think that just brings on, burnout. So I like to, I'll buy a chunk of kind of a good starting amount that I need, not a ton. And then, like on this AWI project, which I've worked on for quite a few years now, off and on. But regiment of 24, and then I'll assemble them, few at 4 or 5 at a time, 3 or 4 on the table at one time, and glue them together. And then like now I just started painting, and now I break them down into groups of 8. So 3 groups of 8. So that way you're always, about when you're getting kind of tired of gluing together, it's like, well, you got the 24 glued together, and I could do it, keep my quality high, because I wasn't getting sick of it and just slapping it together. And then as far as painting too, the same way, all of a sudden, in not a long period of time, even if you can only paint a few hours a week or an hour a week, pretty soon you've got 8 guys like completely painted, right? And it's like, okay, cool. Now I do my next 8, and you see the end result. So it kind of energizes me. And so I think, you don't want to have a whole table sitting full of primed miniatures or sprues that are like stacks of sprues that'll just, it just looks daunting. I think that's important. And then the other thing I find too, if I ever get a little bit where I'm like, all of a sudden I'm not feeling the AWI, or I'm not feeling the fantasy or whatever I'm working on, it's okay to jump to something else for a while. But a lot of times, and I do sometimes too, because I have other projects that are just as important. But I think the other thing is for me, I'll go on to YouTube, and this is maybe weird to some people, but I can watch. I've got certain channels that I particularly enjoy, and I'll go in and watch like one of their videos or a series of their videos where they're doing a project and kind of over months, and I'll watch a few of those videos, or I'll watch somebody do a showcase video or somebody do a battle report that's maybe, doesn't even have to, for me, it doesn't even have to be related to what I'm painting. I mean, I can watch somebody do something from Ancients and it gets me jazzed to paint my AWI just because if it's somebody that has a channel that's, you can see they're enthusiastic, and they're just enjoyable to listen to, whether you're watching a battle report or they got another regiment done, like even like, what is it, Liberator 240 or whatever he is.
Yeah, I think so.
He never hardly ever does like a showcase video of like all of his Napoleonics or anything. He never does a battle report. He mostly shows finished products, finished unit or whatever. And once in a while, some little bit of what he used for paints and stuff, not really tutorials, but just, kind of techniques or things that he used on that regiment or unit. But I'm like, that's inspiring to me, and it gets me wanting to go work on my project. It doesn't make me want to go and do Napoleonics necessarily, or go do Ancients, or go work on, whatever. It can be anything that's completely unrelated that I would never do, but it gets me excited because their excitement makes me excited to go do my thing. And so I think those are the important things that keeps me motivated. And then I think the other thing is too, don't make it a job. That I find a lot of times, I like to paint in the evenings and it gets kind of late sometimes and I'm tired, I work like everybody else. And, but a lot of times if I go and I'm like, I'm not really feeling it tonight, so pretty soon I've noticed then I'll let a couple nights go by and I'm like, okay, tomorrow night I'm just going to go down there and I'll just putz around for a little bit and maybe just paint on one guy or something. But once I sit down and either put on some music or turn on a YouTube video or put a movie in that I just kind of listen to, pretty soon,
progress starts showing up.
Yeah, you go into relaxation mode and all of a sudden I'm sucked back in. But if I hadn't come down, because I wasn't really feeling it, but once I get here, almost 100% of the time, and even sometimes I just start by, you straightening some paints or, looking at, what kind of color scheme you're going to do for the drummer or something or whatever. And then pretty soon pick up the brush and away you go. But so those are like kind of where I find my motivation and what helps me. I think the big thing is to find out what works for you and then set realistic goals, I think. And then is it a project you're passionate about? And then are you just wanting to, in 3 months, it doesn't need to be, Golden Demon painting quality, tabletop. That's what makes you happy. And you're more into the gaming. You just want to get them, then do that, but, be realistic, make sure it's something you're enthused about. Otherwise you're selling a bunch of half-built miniatures. And what's that from?
That's Daredevil's base.
Okay. Why isn't he on it?
I just painted it up while you were talking.
Okay. Well, then there's Rusty that could paint an army in about 2 weeks, and he's good to go. Oh my gosh. Joshua from Crown of Command is on. He's in Japan. Oh my gosh. He's my 5th edition Warhammer Fantasy. He does 5th edition, 4th edition, and then he does early editions of 40K. He does early editions of Epic, and he does Renaissance. And oh my gosh, yeah. Welcome. Good to see him. We touch base once in a while, but it's been a hot minute.
Let's go through a few comments here. Chris says, I do a minimum of 30 minutes a day. And that's the thing, is just setting down and doing something instead of, just sitting around. And you brought up some good points there too, which we'll get to in a second. The Scotsman man can paint.
Oh, that Scotsman, Lib 240,
yes.
Whatever he is. Yeah.
Dan is a regular member now.
The three
Let's
Musty
see,
War Games.
guys. It was good to see some painting. Yeah, it's like we gave up we're doing still the same show, but we're just painting as we go now.
Yeah, you just will be getting something done because this is valuable hobby time, you know?
Yep, as long as something in the project moves forward. And that's the thing. It's like, you brought up where, the doing something, it's like when we were I was doing the lead up to our games for the AWI. I was assembling and painting machine.
Oh, you were, yeah, because I had mine ready and you hadn't hardly started, so you were just pounding them out.
Yeah, it's like I knew I had to have an army ready, so I was like, okay, I cannot.
Yeah, you couldn't waste time on.
Yeah.
But I mean, your stuff looks good. I mean, I'm not at all. I wouldn't be unhappy with that.
Yeah, if I hadn't rushed it too much, I would have probably done a little bit better job. But it's just
it's good enough for what it is.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, I need to get this done so we can play a game, and I wanted to play a game.
Yep. Every time you rank them all up, you don't notice the little stuff. I know I paint stuff on them that nobody's ever going to see. I get enjoyment from it. It's no other reason,
Yeah. And that's the main thing. Why we do this hobby is to have enjoyment.
Yeah, do the parts that you enjoy. If you're just trying to get them on the table, yeah, get a few colors on, do a dry brush or something, and move on. That's totally respectable.
Yeah, it's like the biggest thing I find with trying to do large projects is like when we were doing, let's use AWI project where I get all those red coats and those Hessians, all this. Yeah. It's like I would sit down, take a box or a set of sprues that I needed to make that unit, and then I would assemble the whole unit for that out of that box.
Right.
And then I would take the entire, prime it, put it on, and then put it away.
Okay.
And then I would move on to the next box and do the same thing.
Okay.
Assemble them, prime them, put them away. So they're out of sight. So it's not daunting because like you said, if you see them in front of you, you can psych yourself out.
Oh gosh, yeah. And you were breaking it down into bite-sized chunks again. You're doing a box at a time, Yep.
And then I would, when I started painting, I would do 24 at a time. Basic unit.
Yeah. You're a little bit more, you do larger batch painting type things, but you're built for that. I mean, that's where you're good at that.
Yeah, I've been doing, well, when you do painting commissions, you got to figure out the quickest way to do things that work best. And you can make some shortcuts here and there.
Yeah,
get the job done.
That's true. Josh with Crown of Command, he does painting commissions now too. He went to full-time doing that. And he says he's working on some Bretonian Knights right now, which I did know that. He's got some 5th edition that he's painting for somebody as a commission. I'd be tempted to send him sometime, some of my extra ones, just to have them painted by him, and because he used to paint for Games Workshop actually. He was a heavy metal painter for a few years. Worked in a store for a few years. He's an amazing painter. If you haven't checked his channel out, you should. If you're into any of those old vintage Games Workshop games, he's the man. Anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting again.
Speaking of stuff, any of you guys follow Al Woods?
Yeah, I subscribed to his channel. Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned it. I watched one of his videos today. He was doing talking about some stuff. Oh, no, not Al Woods, but Justin, the miniature painter.
Oh, yeah. What's his channel called? I
think
subscribe to so many channels. They don't always come up in my feed, and so
The
then
miniature
I gotta,
painter, isn't it?
yeah, the minute,
miniature
yep,
painter.
yep. Sorry,
He said
Yep.
he is got a small little project for Blood and Plunder to do.
Oh,
And I was like, oh yeah, I know all about Blood and Plunder.
yeah, you're in there.
Where I painted some of their stuff for their
rule book
their Kickstarter stuff that
Yeah.
they had.
That's pretty cool. I'd love to say I did something like that. I guess I'd have to be a better painter.
You could easily get your stuff in. You're a good painter.
I'm okay. I don't know. I always see right away the stuff that your eyes go right to the spot that's like, yeah, I didn't nail that.
Well, but there's a little secret is that there's a lot of people out there that they see something and they go, "Oh wow, that is so gorgeous," because they don't paint that.
Yeah.
And when you paint something that's halfway decent, it looks really good.
Yeah.
You may see the imperfections, but they may not.
I guess that's what it amounts to. And then I notice certain painting styles really catch my eye. And that's just sort of like art. Certain art speaks to different people, but
that is true. Let's see if we can catch up with a few more of these here. Okay, it's like, yep, as long as the project moves forward, we'll be happy to hear that I'm painting some Bretonnian knights for the realm. Yep. Crown of Command, all the original vintage, I assume.
Yep. And that's a 10-4.
So what do you have to say, Palmer?
Well, I don't do long-term projects right now or big projects, so it's hard for me to kind of speak with authority. But
well, you've done them though.
Oh yeah, done them in the past.
Fairly large.
I think. So with that said, I mean, I would say I'm at a point in my painting where I have projects like you, Dan, and you, Rusty. Like we all have projects like this where we do them over years. Like so, we have an army that we do a unit or we do a couple of units. We do a Musty Wargamers painting challenge of a few things, but then we have like a lot of other stuff still to paint, and we're just going to paint it for the next 5 years. We're just going to keep painting, like we're going to switch in and out and doing that. And I think finding like having things that like we've talked about having core games that we like, but having core periods or core like kind of, whether it be historical and knowing that you really like World War II, or whether it be like Warhammer Fantasy, like old school Warhammer Fantasy, and just knowing that you're always going to be painting stuff for that, I think is just helpful, because then what happens is you stick with it to some degree, even if sticking with it for you in this case, where we is actually doing this for 8 years, and just getting it done, getting a really impressive thing done, but not really impressive by some people's standards within 4 months,
Right. True.
And so for me, I have certain things like my Beastmen for Warhammer Fantasy. I'm proud of like kind of what I've got done for that and what I'm continuing to do right now. And my French Indian War is kind of the same, although I've taken a break for a bit. I fully intend on going back to it. And so just having those things that I will always come back to that are sort of like lifelong projects is like my way of doing long-term projects at the moment. I don't really paint an army anymore. I don't do that anymore.
I've never done that in that sense.
I mean, I might have painted like 500 points or 800 points or something at one point and things, but I just don't do that anymore. I don't have the steam or the interest.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like you said, if you have like your core games or periods, then you just kind of keep adding to it. And then that's motivating to me, because after you get a certain amount of units done, then it's like, man, that's kind of impressive. And painting one more doesn't seem like that big of a job, because you've already got like 10 units or something. And it's like, well, I can paint another another unit and add that in, and it's like a slow grow. That's what my thing. And you can play with it when it's a small force, or as they get bigger, you either play bigger games or you mix and match different units, which is I don't know, that's motivating to me as well.
Yeah, that's the biggest secret is you find something you really like,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start adding to it.
Yep.
So
pretty soon it's massive, or
yeah,
it grows. It's slowly, slow grow.
Now, initially, it's like a lot of times where I'm doing a large project. I think the last large project I did was the AWI.
I don't know if you did an American Civil War thing kind of in there, or a commission or something.
Yeah, I've done commissions where I did basically
somewhat recently,
like a regiment or two or something. That's
okay,
but not a whole massive army like I did.
Okay.
That
yeah, that was like that one summer basically, or kind of spring and summer.
Yeah, I think I started in like December, January time frame.
Yeah, or like somewhere like that, and then you went steady hard because we played our first game sometime kind of probably like July.
Yeah, it was
when
July.
We seem like we can usually get together.
Yeah, it was a July time period when we got our game together, and that was when I pretty much finished the last units I worked on for that game. It was not too long before we
remember that, and you had to make the trays and everything. You really,
that didn't sound good.
No, it's fine.
Like a paint taking a tumble or something. In there,
he knocked over his drink.
Oh gosh, that's worse.
No, I'm good.
Okay,
just miscellaneous stuff.
But yeah, that was the most time-consuming thing I did in a long time. Now, I've done before that. It was a couple dystopian wars projects I did for someone, commissions that were fairly large, but I really enjoyed because those were also motivating too for me because I played the game. So,
and were you painting commissions for people you're playing against, or just
other people just on the net that would send me stuff because they seen my videos and they was like, "Oh, you do commission work?"
Yeah.
So they get a hold of me and I'd do a unit or two. Or I had someone sent me. Oh, there was probably about 300, 400 models.
Mm-hmm.
Was it part of that commission? I was like, man, I worked nonstop on that one.
So would you, if you were going to start, I mean, like hypothetically, say you were going to start a project now, wasn't necessarily a time limit or a time, you weren't in a crunch. How would you do it now? I mean, you know what you're capable of and what you enjoy doing. How would you approach it now? Like, let's say you wanted to start a Civil War project from scratch, or a medieval 100 Years War army for doing like Hail Caesar, or something. How would you do it?
Well, the first thing I would do is just look at the what models do I need, types of units.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my first inclination of okay, I need to have certain units. Do I need how much cav do I need, or go that route?
Would you try to get your minis mostly from like one manufacturer? Do you find that better, more appealing, easier, or would you just be, I don't care. I mean, those are 28 mil or whatever. It's good. Shop around.
I typically would like to have everything the same manufacturer because that would gives a little continuity to the army.
Yep, stylistically and scale wise.
Because the miniatures in the same army from the manufacturer will scale up with each other quite well.
Yeah, or even the weapons, are they finer, are they fat, or are they a little more heroic, or size of the shields, or whatever.
And then after I figure that out, then I'm going to be looking at, do I need a certain type of basing, which would means I have to look at rule sets.
Oh yeah,
that's a major driving force for certain games. Is if you're playing a certain rule set, they have it set up basing that may not be copacetic with other games.
One thing I noticed, the newer rule sets coming out now, or even like later editions of old rule sets, they've really realized how big of a buzzkill that can be, and so a lot of them have gotten extremely accommodating on basing for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you watch a video and they're like, yeah, I just got done rebasing this army for like the second time because now down at the club or whatever, they're playing this game and they got to be based this way. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. I would never do that.
Never.
And that's why my AWI, I'm individually basing, and I'm building these trays, but I would just buy, and they're magnetized. So I could do it I can play skirmish clear up to however they want them ranked up. I can do it.
This is a funny way to think of it for me, but it's like my miniatures are more important than your rules. There's no way I'm changing my miniatures for your rules.
Well, any of them, unless you're playing at a huge club. I mean, as long as they're like Rusty and I, we came up with, we're following the rule. It's really broad how Land of the Free wants things based, and we just made sure we were in agreement on how we were doing it, and that's all that mattered at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. My minis are more important than your rules. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than being told that, hey, you got to rebase everything you have.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's buzzing around the whole. I don't want to get on a long tangent there, but with the old Warhammer, the old world, everybody's got a different perspective on what they've kind of talked about the basing changes, and it's like some people are like, well, it doesn't matter, just do movement trays, it's fine. Other ones are like, well, it matters, or it'll matter if you're in an official tournament, and round and round they go.
Yeah, that's true. And it's like I'm the with Palmer there. It's like, nah. My bases are fine.
Yeah, my bases are fine. I'm not going to be in an international tournament situation, and if it's somebody that has a problem with that, chances are I'm not going to enjoy a game with them anyway. Because we can work it out. I mean, like even if we got to fudge it a little bit, it's a game. I just want to have fun. We're not playing for $600,000, whoever wins or anything. So.
Yeah, I was just thinking of. I have all kinds of old Warhammer 40K stuff that is one of the old smaller bases, and it's like, not long ago I guess 5-6 years ago, they changed the base size on everything.
I remember hearing about that. It was a big deal.
And I was like, no, I'm not changing. I'm not tearing everything off the bases.
Plus, I figure Warhammer Fantasy, I will probably likely would want to play the old rule sets that are out there anyway. So I would sure as heck wouldn't rebase them for, just for the reason of trying to play this new rule set. I know some games, some of the old rule sets, historical rule sets, basing was somewhat important because everything was based off of frontages and things, and it makes it. It was, but they've found a lot of the new, like I said, the new rule sets, or the later editions of those games. They've made that a lot more generic, so that because it was where people wouldn't even buy the rule set because you're not going to rebase your miniatures. You want to be able to use what you've got, so.
Yeah, we got a couple comments come in here. Let's see. Chris says my Napoleon armies are a lifetime project. That's one thing I do miss is my old 15 Napoleonics that I used to have.
Didn't you have a bunch of 15 American Civil War stuff too?
Yeah. And I got rid of all of it.
That's what I thought you'd said.
Since there was nobody to play with.
Oh my gosh.
And now we're back to building some.
Yeah, now you're back to 15 millimeter ACW, right?
Which I don't mind it. I just need to. I'm thinking after I finish Daredevil here, I might get back into working on those guys.
Oh, cool. I'm tempted to try. Yeah, I've got so many things I'd like to do, but I'm having fun with this now.
Yes, they are, sure. Okay, what are you guys painting? Well, what are you painting, Dan?
I'm painting British American War of Independence, 17th British Line Infantry, I guess, is what I'm painting. They're actually the Wargames factory miniatures, strangely. But having fun with that. It's kind of fun to see what I can make them turn into, because they're not well-respected miniatures, but actually they have a ton of potential. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, the annoying thing I had with them is that there wasn't a lot of deep details in them. They were there, but
yeah, I know you've said that, and for some reason I wouldn't said that on my. If somebody just asked me that, I wouldn't have said that was a thing. Some people say the material, their pants have too many folds in them. Like the Perrys are smooth, and these have 1,000 folds in their coats and in their. Yeah, I guess it. Yeah, I mean it's just perspective. I guess I didn't notice that, but I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, there's just you look at you're used to painting metal miniatures, and then those.
Yeah, well, they're definitely not as good as metal, but. And the other thing, I guess, the thing that probably I like the least about, there's two things. The firing poses are cool, and actually they're really nice poses, but they have to all go in the front. And then, like, if you want to put them in column or something, unless you point them sideways a little bit, which I don't care for. Some people have done that. Then it's hard to make them, you got to rank them up a little offset, and that's fine. But the other thing is, since you're gluing all the arms and stuff on, why is there not more options? Because basically these arms go to this torso. There's a couple that have like a slight option, but basically you got to do some of your own like cutting and get creative to make different arms fit. And it's fun to do. And I've done it, but if you're going to make a multi-part kit, there should be more options than there are. I think that's where it really falls flat.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because even Perry's, you can do a lot more with those. But yeah, for the amount of parts you're gluing together, they all have to. You can only build those same miniatures, but like I said, since they are plastic, you can. I've done some. It's pretty easy to do, but you shouldn't have to, get a hobby knife out and start cutting them up to change poses.
What are you working on, Palmer?
Well, most of the show I was working on Marienburg or Mordheim miniatures, including the ogre that I printed, 3D printed for it.
Nice, yeah.
But also the actual original minis, the 3 that I've been working on. I'm also doing some Weirdstone. Actually, right now I'm just edge highlighting some Weirdstone, the glass that I use the cut card glass and stuff, and I'm just making some cool Weirdstone.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What are you working on, Rusty?
Daredevil.
I thought you said he was done.
Huh?
I thought he was done.
Oh, no. I only got a bunch of... I put on 2 coats of red on this. It's pretty opaque red, so I got to put about 4 coats on him.
Okay. Still doing base coats is what you're saying.
This is a long-term project, Dan. Fitting for today's show.
Yeah, but that's true. Rusty's long-term projects, that would take me like forever. Rusty will have that done in a few weeks or whatever.
Probably 2 days.
Okay, there. Well, I like to estimate long. Then you're pleasantly surprised, Matt.
You're a miracle worker. I'm
Yeah.
prescribed to the chief engineering concept of work. You know, it's like tell them it's going to take 6 weeks and you finish it in 2 days.
Yeah,
You're
then
a miracle
they're
worker.
happy and amazed, and you knew
Yep.
it would take that long. Yeah.
I'm the Scotty.
Under promise and over produce or whatever, over provide.
Yeah, it's the base. The only thing I got to do the base is put some little bit of silver on the rebar that's sticking out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that's on, then I got to put a couple washes of black on that, darken it up, and then I got to put rust effects on it.
I was wondering if you're going to do that. Yep, that's cool. So oh, sorry, go ahead.
I did that with Electra, the rebar that's on her base.
What's in the pipeline for you next, Rusty, since you've been...
Well, as soon as I finish Daredevil, get him on the... he'll be going right there.
Okay.
They'll be both be sitting right about there.
Yep.
If you ever come over, you'll see him.
I'm planning to.
And I'm seriously thinking I'm going to work on the ACW stuff, get some of this 15 work done. I have the Iron Brigade just sitting right here. It's been sitting forever and a day.
Yeah, I see it sometimes in your videos.
And I want to get at least that unit done.
And see if you're feeling it. Yeah.
Stuff from Tim, some BattleTech miniatures sitting here.
Oh, yeah, that you traded, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to get those worked on too.
I'm itching to get back to my Bretonians too. I do love that. I've got some paint schemes I want to do. I'll try on some knights. I'm doing the Knights Errant next, which are pretty basic, and so that's won't require a whole bunch of icons on their barding and stuff. That since they're the lowest level of knights, I'm trying to represent that like they did.
Yeah, they're like the yeoman lights, right?
Yeah, so just like 2 colors, some basic patterns, but I can spend some quality time on the highlighting and edging, and try to really make them pop.
And see, Tim made a comment, Broken Dice, that I love big projects.
He's good,
and
Adam, too.
His big projects lately have been the for his Roman projects.
Mm-hmm.
Been really enjoying those. Did you just upload a video this recently, Tim?
I just watched one from like 2 days ago.
Okay.
2 or 3. It was this week that I watched it. A lot of times I don't get notifications, when I go into my subscriptions, and it's funny what it picks to put up on my list, because I have tons of channels I subscribe to, and so I know it can't put them all, but some of the ones it puts up there, I'm like, I don't know why they did that. And then some of the ones that I don't miss a video of, all of a sudden I find out I've missed like 3. I just got to go down and click on their name and see what I've missed. It's kind of irritating, but
yeah, for me lately, it's like my daughter, she bought herself a house.
Oh, good for her.
And so about every single day, it seemed like we've been going over there and helping out with that. Before she moved in, we cleaned the house and we set things up and primed the house.
Nice.
And
you're such a good dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more that the mother is the motivator and saying, we're going to do this. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I'm sure you hate it.
Well, it's like putting new locks on the doors and
Oh, sure.
fixing all the stuff that's like, oh, you're going to need this fixed or this got to be fixed. And I taught her how to work on her sink and do some plumbing work and all that kind of fun.
Oh, that's good.
She's.
Uh-oh. Is that me or is you're moving still? So that's
yeah,
a good sign.
Rusty's taking a nap again. Somebody ping him.
I can hear everything being said.
Oh, there you are. Okay. We just lost you there for a second.
Yeah, it's is it? No, my son might be doing a live stream too upstairs. I tell him I'm doing a show and it doesn't matter. He just kind of blinks and looks at you and goes,
okay.
I got my stuff to do. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's the only time my internet has trouble is if there's two people trying to stream or somebody trying to stream while I'm doing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically too much.
You're overloaded the system.
Yeah.
She can't take anymore.
She can't take anymore. Oh, I've been watching my wife and I have been watching a new Netflix series. We're just in well into season 2, but it's The Outlander. You guys seen that?
I haven't.
Yeah.
Man, she read all the books, so she knew what it was. And yeah, there's a few parts that are hard to watch, but that's pretty good stuff. And it's the period. I don't know what at all it's going to cover, and don't give anything away, Rusty. But it's the Jacobite Rebellion, which is a period I knew some about, but not a ton. And I know this isn't following all exactly history, but it got me to learn quite a bit about that period more than I did. And it's a good show. It's interesting. I like it.
Oh, Jamie.
He is a dude. I mean, like he would have been a knight for sure in King Arthur's court. I mean, he
Lord
makes Lancelot act.
Fraser.
Yeah, I mean, talk about chivalry and all that. I mean, he made Lancelot or Galahad or any of those guys look like they're amateurs.
Yeah, it was like we're watching the current season, my wife and I. And
okay, don't give anything away. I don't want to know anything.
Well, let's just put it this way: that someone said to him, "You're a nice," basically to the effect that you're a nice guy. You know, you're an honorable, upstanding gentleman. Mm-hmm. And he just kind of gave him the look of, "You have no idea. I'm a very violent man."
He is what he needs to be. Anyway, it's an enjoyable show, and it kind of some history, and of course it's 1740s, and so it's not far from the American Revolution. So it's kind of fun to see the weapons and the uniforms because it's the British, of course, and so that's been kind of fun.
So, are you in season 1?
We're like on episode tomorrow night. Will be episode. Well, next time we watch episode 12 of season 2 is where we are.
So we're in France.
No, we're past France. We're back, and the Jacobite Rebellion's going on. Last episode, they wanted to march on London, and Bonnie Prince Charlie, he wants to head back to. They're deciding they can't. They're retreating back to Scotland, and that's where we are. The whole premise of the show is interesting, with the time travel thing. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like my wife and I read the books. She got me hooked on them.
Okay. Yeah, my wife said she read them all. I don't do as much reading as I used to, or as I would like. I tend to do more in the wintertime, but...
Actually, I didn't read them. I listened to them, so...
that'd be an I could do... Yeah, but now we're watching it, so I don't need to...
Well, there's a lot in the books that are
I know, that's what she said, too. That's always the case.
Let me catch up with some more of these projects. I live for big projects. I have not found a project I didn't like.
Yeah, he's a prolific painter.
As long as the big project is just doing 2 sides for a skirmish game.
Well, that can still be a big project, so yeah, kudos there.
Dan, have you started painting your Barons War models yet? I got the rule book and looks gorgeous. Absolutely.
Actually, I don't have any Barons War miniatures. I did buy the Barons War rule book, the first one. There's been several that's come out since then, Death and Taxes, and is there like a Crusader one now? What, the First Crusade or something? I forget what it's called. They've all had successful Kickstarters, and the rules look good. I haven't studied them, but I've looked through. And originally, I thought I could use I could use my Bretonians for it, adequately. I do have some medieval miniatures because I've always, thought I'd do a large scale project with that someday, and I may or may not. But yeah, I don't actually. I got the free miniature that comes with the rule book if you bought it from them, and it's like a knight bishop thing. But I thought I'd put him in my Bretonian force. I figured somehow work him in there.
Yeah, when they did that, I got some miniatures and I bought some Anglo-Saxon miniatures.
Okay.
Would work good for just your basic infantry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because wasn't it Paul Hicks sculpted the Barons War range?
Might be.
I was pretty sure. I know he's done a bunch of them. I think he's done all of them, but I can't say for sure.
Let's see which ones. I think they're sitting right over there.
I was thinking you said you had a bunch of Barons War miniatures.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I have some French equivalent, and I got some Viking Huskarls also.
Oh.
So just a little variety, because depending on what area you were looking at, you could see that things hadn't changed that much.
No, that's true.
And if you look at some of the early Crusade models that were out, will work too.
Yeah, because wasn't the Barons War kind of the 1100s, right?
Yeah. It was around the time of the first Crusades.
Yeah.
That's a project I wanted because my friend Scott, that comes on here every once in a while, Smitty.
That's always an interest. Yeah, that would be cool. First Crusade, or any of the earlier Crusade, any of them would be interesting to paint. And I haven't done enough research on it, but it always looks like the Muslim forces were a lot of bright, cool colors. That'd be fun to. At least that's how I see them portrayed. What's his face? Martin, Seventh Son. He's doing a First Crusade army for uses black powder, I think.
Okay.
But he's been working on a project, and yeah, he's paints both sides always. And man, that's some gorgeous stuff. A lot of neat miniatures out there too. A lot of things that I'd enjoy doing. I just need to kind of be a little choosy.
Yeah, I'm just looking at overlap.
Oh, sure.
If I can paint something up that could be used for what the heck's the where you have the battle boards? What's that?
Saga?
Saga.
Yeah, Saga.
Just waiting for Palmer to get that one because he's
the battle boards. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never played that, and I don't own it.
Yeah, I have the one that has the magic version.
Oh yeah,
Age of Magic, yeah.
Age of Magic. There you go.
But it doesn't matter if it's magic or not. You're just adding a something to the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And or else you could play the Dark Age version,
Okay.
Crusades.
Yeah, funny enough, as much as I tend to gravitate more towards fictional gaming lately, I would have to say that I really like the Dark Ages better than the Age of Magic for some reason. That's just for me when it comes to that. But I like the Age of Magic, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong, I like all of it. But
so it's not like it's not done well or it's shoehorned in there. It's just maybe isn't that the magic side of it just doesn't appeal to you right maybe now even. Is that what
it may
saying?
just be me, but the Age of Magic has more than the Dark Ages does. When it comes to the rules,
okay,
they had to create more types of units to meet the niche of fantasy.
Okay.
And sometimes more is not a better thing. Like after it's been an established game and it's been built on a foundation, sometimes it's not always a better thing.
Okay.
But I don't know. They did a good job at trying to make it work. And so it might be just my opinion. It might just
maybe
be
even
like my opinion, man.
yeah, right. Well, maybe it's where you're at right now too, though. Because sometimes sometimes I'm all into the fantasy thing, and I always come back to it. And other times I'm really into the historical thing. I don't know. Maybe it's that too, though.
Well, and you can also it has everything that the other one has. I mean, it has all the other units. It's not like you can't do with it what you want.
I gotcha.
Yeah, it's just an
Sorry,
extra
Rusty, you were
layer
saying
of
something.
onion that you may not be enjoying at the moment.
Yeah. Right.
When I first read it and I first tried it, I mean, I do like it. I've had good games with it, and I don't know. I was intrigued with how they decided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the basic saga, and then I looked at and I got the magic one, Age of Magic, also, just because, as a possibility of something fantasy to be tossed into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the nice thing about it is it's kind of like Dragon Rampant. You can grab whatever you have and use it. It's cool.
Kind of like BattleTech. Just
you can grab whatever you. Oh, BattleTech.
Speaking of
it's been a while.
BattleTech,
Drink up.
When I was painting on Sunday afternoon, Dwayne Scarnier was doing one of his
live streams,
and I know nothing about BattleTech, which I've said, and I'll probably never ever do anything with it, but I just enjoy. Of course, I enjoy his accent and his voice anyway, but he his enthusiasm and stuff is just, again, where he's excited about his project and he's talking about BattleTech the whole time I'm painting something else, just enthuses me, which is weird, but yeah. Fun.
When someone has enthusiasm, it's contagious.
It really is. I mean, it is. To me, it is anyway.
One of the most contagious individuals I knew is with blue table painting.
It's still a active channel?
Yeah, he's around.
Blue table painting. We maybe even had this discussion before, but I've never.
Yeah, he actually had a business, where he had a whole house of people. He would have a house that of people painting and commission projects. You could order commissions from them and have a whole bunch of people.
Okay, I think I do remember watching a video from there.
And he used to do fantasy battle reports all the time.
Okay, because this was a commission, a Bretonian commission that's what got it, and I wonder if that was that channel, because it sounds like what you're describing.
Yeah.
But it was, man, that was well done, Bretonian force. Woo-wee.
Yeah, he would always try new rules and stuff, and they were always doing commission and playing. He played a lot of fantasy and a lot of 40K stuff, and I always loved watching the fantasy battles because they paint up some fantasy army, and then you say, "Hey, this army is for sale if you want it."
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, okay.
And I always enjoyed watching it's like they'd have a Skaven army or a Chaos Dwarf army. I always loved watching the Chaos. That's why I really wanted to.
It's always a treat to actually see one of those.
Yeah.
Period.
I'm going to fire some liquid hot magma. And there's all these companies that tried to emulate him with his commission painting services, and they never did be able to take off. And then he did something stupid. He had an affair with somebody, and he ended up getting divorced, and he shut his business down. And, he still does commission stuff, but
yeah, it kind of shut. He was kind of flying high there, and it didn't. Yeah,
it's like crash and burn.
Yeah, tough to get that back.
All right, what else we got here? I will stick with Kings of War, and I can finish a few games in a day. Yeah, that's the thing about Kings of War. I've tried it. I do have several of the rule books. I have a lot of Kings of War miniatures from Mantic.
Yeah, Kings of War definitely interests me. They had at that Bolt Action tournament I was at in Omaha. They had they always have a pretty good. I mean, I think there was 60 or 70 Kings of War participants, and
there's a large Iowa crew that.
Yes, and they had some beautifully painted armies. And when we were having a break or something, I would make sure I spent some time watching some of their games and stuff. And yeah, it's pretty good, pretty fun looking game.
Yeah, my only complaint about Kings of War is that you can kind of check out when the game's going on. When your opponent's doing something,
you're not. Oh, I don't know. I'm always fully engaged just because I'm watching the story unfold, I guess. But
yeah,
they had timers too. I noticed. I don't know how that all exactly works, but they had turn timers that the guy would hit when he got done, and I don't know what that was doing, but I don't need that kind of pressure.
Speeding it up, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if it's slow play can be a thing. I don't know what the point of it was, but I don't play Kings of War, so I don't know. Maybe it makes sense, but it looks like a pretty nice. I mean, it's one of those games that looks like the rules are simple, but there's a lot of nuances to really make get the most out of your units, and movement is critically important. Angles, things like that. But
and I just seen this week that my local Mayhem was having a breaking out the not Man of War, but the other skirmish game. It was War Machine.
Oh,
haven't seen any of that in forever.
I was gonna say, is that still a thing?
Yeah, I guess so.
I thought it was gone. I don't know much about it except I know it had quite a following at one time. Maybe still does. I don't know.
No, I still got my army.
Well, you still got that, but you got rid of your 15 mil ACW. I'm just saying.
I got rid of lots of things over the years.
Yeah, you did, but you have a lot of stuff, though. I mean, you have a treasure trove of stuff. Let's be honest. There's some cool. I mean, both painted and unpainted, but you have a tremendous amount of painted minis packed away, which is cool.
Yeah.
Sell everything.
that pack rat problem.
Yeah, but you have sold a lot of stuff through the years. I mean, just for all the different shows, and when we talk, you're like, "Well, I used to have that, and I sold that." Or you were saying you just sold some 40K stuff. What last time? What were they?
Epic.
Or okay, yeah, something.
Some Epic was Tyranids.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. Tyranids. I forgot it was Epic though. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my Epic Tyranids I sold off. It was like my smallest army I had. And it's like, I'm not, you really, I would need to spend more money to build
make
it up
it a more viable army. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's one to move on.
So it's like I sold that off. I do have a bunch of Eldar that are not even, or assembled, but never painted them. I have a painted Eldar army, but I really need to either paint them or sell them, this type of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Clyde says Blackjack Legacy doing another slow grow Kings of War. Figured I'd jump on that, get some fantasy done while I'm doing other things.
Yeah.
I love my fantasy. It's a type of genre that I really gravitate towards, to be honest.
I even find sometimes, I know this is like silly, but I'm like, fantasy is like, I mean, you're still doing the same things. It's armies fighting or whatever, but for some reason that seems more, less dirty, or you know what I mean? It's like, that's not based. It's like, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm getting too deep in it, but I've even been watching somebody that's doing a Zulu project, and he has a history part of that video, you know, which is interesting, and you learn about it. And then he shows where he's at in the project and what he's painted, and it's really well done videos. But as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, it's almost cringy. It's like, oh man, that was, I mean, it's hard to watch. And so yeah, it's a lot more, what's the word, sanitized when you do fantasy. It's like, well, those are just orcs, and those are just Skaven, and those are imaginary knights, and in an imaginary world. It's the same thing, I know, but it's like some of the real modern stuff, it kind of, I'm not saying I can't or wouldn't for any moral reason or anything, but it does make me a little uncomfortable doing that. It's like, that's a little too fresh, I guess, in my history lifetime. But
the what the heck's the name of the company? They're out of Poland.
There's a few Polish companies doing a lot of neat stuff.
Yeah, they have the orcs that they have, like a modern orc army or 40K style army.
Okay. Fantasy,
but they're in like trench coats and
like World War I, or like
Napoleonic? It's like World War II orcs.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting, you know, because now they can do that, especially like with 3D printing, and I don't know what they're doing, but
is it Kromlik?
Oh, well, I think you're right, because they do the Polish. They do Polish World War II infantry and tons of vehicles, and actually, that's what I'm going to use their vehicles in my. That's the next bolt action army I'm going to do. Will be Polish, and I'm going to use their vehicles because I thought that's like authentic, man. That's cool.
That would be cool, doing early Germans versus the Poles.
Yeah,
because the Poles actually were a pretty decent army. They
had some better tanks even but they just had too small a numbers of things and no support. And then of course the Soviets jumped in from the other. I mean, they just, it wasn't going to happen. But they were a tough little army, and if they could have been allied with some help, they'd been just fine. But
yeah, they got steamrolled.
Yeah, well, and then they got backstabbed. The Soviets were going to leave them alone, and they made a deal with Germany to split the country.
Yeah, it never helps when the socialists are going after you. Which I'm surprised is that look what the happened to the Soviets when they went after the Finns,
Yeah.
in the Winter War.
Yeah.
They must have been really hurting from that, and then they turned around and attacked the Poles.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course, war is always super intelligent.
Yeah, it's never a good deal.
Never a good idea.
Illogical decisions trying to make a logical war.
Yeah. And every time, this time it'll be different because of...
we're doing it different this time. We'll be different.
Be different. And this one's this. And yeah, it's like, yeah, that didn't work out. At least we don't give up. Next time it'll be better.
All right, let's see. I put one up for 3 days ago. Oh, yes. Okay. I need to go tonight after I'm done watching this. I'll go probably watch it. My video watching has been pretty slow. I watched a few today while I was doing my workout.
Yeah, I'm way behind on videos too. I just, yeah.
Yeah. Typically, I do Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I do a workout, lift and everything, and I typically will watch some type of battle reports and stuff like that. And,
yep, something that you can just a little longer video that can just keep
going
while you're doing your thing.
And today I did watch the Miniature Painter. I watched some of his stuff today. So I got a few comments in on different videos. But
yeah, and I always feel bad because when I'm watching videos, like when I'm painting, I don't comment. I try to reach over and hit the like, at least. I mean, try to support, but I'm like, oh man, I can't. Trying to get this paint going here. But I love listening to them. People put out a lot of amazing content. It's just,
unfortunately for me, when I'm painting,
mm-hmm.
I'm usually watching videos on this bloody thing, which is my iPad.
Okay.
And I can't make comments.
Oh, okay.
So if I want to make a comment, I have to go over to my desktop and physically bring up the video so I can watch it and make a comment. So,
well, that's what sometimes, when I got the painting, and it's my computer, it's a laptop, and it's in an awkward position. I can't even reach over, and once in a while I try to reach over and type a comment, and I'm mistyping, and I just get irritated. And so sometimes I try to remember when I go back up to the home computer to go back on, if it's somebody I'm like, I really got to comment, show some support, and then I forget. Yeah, I'm bad.
Yeah. Most of the time, the only thing I get to do is you're going to get a thumbs up. That's about it.
Yeah, that's me too.
It's like my laptop is first generation. It hasn't been updated in forever and a day because they no longer support it.
Yeah, they won't. Mine's that way too. So I can't hardly use it. I can watch YouTube videos on it, but you're right. I can't see the comments and I can't comment.
Yeah. Because if I try to look at the comments, it crashes.
Yeah, same. Yep, same. I think I got the same age. Anytime I tried to update it, this a couple years ago, it already said it's unsupported. You can't.
Yeah. It's like, sorry.
Actually, I didn't even buy it. It's my dad's old one. So I can't complain.
Yeah, when we got ours, it was kind of new. Well, it was new when we bought it. But it had, what the heck was it? Black Friday sale.
Oh, sure.
That's why we got it. And it worked fine. I used to play games and stuff on it. And then it one time it went to do an update and it crashed. And I'm like, what the heck? And I took it over to the Apple store.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, we don't support this anymore. That's just a paperweight. Just buy a new one.
Yeah, just buy a new one, yeah.
I'm like, How much is the new one? Oh, about $500.
Yeah, forget that.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm not going to spend $500. What do you think? I'm crazy? Well, that's how much our phones cost. And I was like, I don't have one of your phones. I'm not a big fan of Disposable Society. Maybe that's why I have so many old miniatures.
Yeah, I hate throwing stuff away. Looks like Crown of Command made a comment about your epic content, Rusty.
Oh yeah, my Net Epic games that we were playing. We played for like 3 straight months of games. Yeah, that was a lot of. I enjoyed playing those, but the individual that I was playing with, he no longer plays anything. He's had a couple of heart attacks, and he's kind of like hung up his gaming title.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, he's part of the. It's like you always say with that my people I used to play with end up dying. Well, there's a reason.
Yeah,
he's part of that group. I like building dioramas for bases. Yeah, that's an interesting thing I would like to try doing sometime. Is just do more of that. Get into designing bases and for the miniatures. I kind of do it was like when I do a lot of when I was doing those Ford World miniatures, designed kind of a base for them. I don't know if I ever showed you the War Machine. I got an old Signar War Machine. I got made a diorama out of that.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of your War Machine stuff that I recall. There's a lot of comments up here.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. They come flying in.
Way
I have
behind
to
on
keep
them
it
here.
up. Mini Warmut.
I know.
Hello. Hey, y'all. It's like Kings of War looks pretty cool. I stare at my undead goblin and halfling mega army sets. Though the undead ones make great additions to a lot of armies.
Oh gosh, yeah, and other game systems and all kinds of stuff. It's really.
Let's see. I still have to play the game. I played the Kings of War a few times.
I've never played. Yeah.
No, I'm lucky enough. Like I said, we got a fairly large.
I know Des Moines got a good. I think Omaha does too. It's just that's like over an hour away for me.
Yeah.
Not realistic.
New edition War Machine. Is there a new edition coming out? The last edition kind of bombed. Killed it around here. We used to have like 50 guys and gals playing War Machine on a Wednesday night. We'd go over and just play like crazy.
Wow.
And then
really?
the new edition came out and everybody hated it. And it just, we went from a massive crowd of people on a Wednesday night to nobody. It's never good when they
That's unfortunate.
Bombs that bad. I need to buy the halflings. I always looked at those halflings. They look kind of cool.
There's some different companies making some cool halflings now. There's some plastic halflings that some companies make. It's not Atlantic or North Star. I don't know. Somebody's got them.
Yeah. Please tell me, you guys, that I'm not the only one buying miniature starter sets and use them for agnostic games. Yeah,
they would. I've never done that, but yeah.
I have. It's like I would buy Mantic stuff just so I could use them in other games.
Oh, in terms of that, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I even bought some Mantic skeletons that I'm going to use in my Warhammer Fantasy Undead Army that I've collected up over the years.
Yeah, they're fine. They make fine additions to stuff. Filler.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that.
you can find them cheap sometimes.
Yeah.
I even saw a Kings of War army where the guy went and used World War II stuff was all substituted in. It was something like it was some historical, but he didn't. It wasn't like he took it in, like, oh, I got this World War II stuff and I'm just gonna plunk it down and play Kings of War. He built it to be a Kings of War army, and it all had this theme and his display board and everything. It was cool. I think it would be a little hard to play against in a tournament setting because you would be a little bit unclear always what everything was. I mean, it totally made sense and you could figure it out, but it was really very well painted. It was cool.
Yeah, there was somebody that had, I seen it. Oh, it was like My Little Pony. They made a fantasy army. It was like
that sounds familiar. I almost think I saw something like that too online.
Yeah, the sky's the limit. You know, I get some individuals. I found the channel through the Net Epic content. You're playing to bring back. Are you playing? I would like to play Epic. It's like sitting right behind me, right here. You can see it. There's a pile of Epic stuff and boxes.
Yeah, Josh loves his Epic, and he's got a great collection as well.
I got a lot of Epic stuff. And sitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 boxes of Epic stuff. I got 4 boxes right there? 4 boxes of Epic. And then I got a case over here that has 3 boxes of Epic stuff. I got tons of Epic. I enjoy playing the game.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of getting people that want to play it.
Do you ever play solo?
I could.
But you don't really, though, do you?
Hard.
I mean, in the past, have you?
Not with Epic. I've always had somebody to play with.
But I mean, with any of your other games, you know.
Rusty, you're not much of a solo war gamer, I don't think.
That's
right?
what I was saying. You don't, do you? Really? Or do you?
Well, the only time I really solo war game is board games.
Okay, yep.
Oh, like solitaire kind of games?
No, he plays 2 players, but he's solid. Remember, he was doing it during, like, a couple years ago, Rusty. You were playing a couple games.
Yeah, I did.
World War II, weren't they?
Stalingrad.
Yeah.
March on Stalingrad. I've done World War I game where, what the heck's it? Empires.
So why not miniature tabletop games? Just usually got somebody to play against, or that doesn't really.
That's probably the biggest thing is when you got somebody to play against. Usually,
it's a better experience, but
yeah.
Okay, that's what I wondered. You've got access to more people over there, yeah.
Yeah. It's just a matter of getting them motivated to play what I want them to play.
Yeah, of course, if you can have both armies painted up, can you usually get somebody to at least do that, right? I mean, you know.
Yeah, when it comes to Epic, there's Mel comes on here every once in a while.
Yep, Striker.
Yeah, Striker 11B. He has a bunch of stuff. His brother has a bunch of stuff. So between the 3 of us, we can always play an Epic game of some type.
Yep. Isn't he the one that has 15 mil ACW?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we went with the 15 mil, because he has that scale already.
That's what I thought you'd say.
If none of us were doing that, I think we'd be doing the what do you call it? War games.
Oh, Warlord Games Epic scale?
Yeah, we'd be doing those.
Yeah.
Because that would be easy to get into.
It's super duper affordable.
Mini Warmat says Palmer clipping counters. I hear clippings. I'm not sure if somebody else cutting stuff. It wasn't me.
You're cutting glass, right?
Oh, well, no, I didn't. This glass has been smashed for years. This came from a car shop that has, repairs glass windows and stuff. But I made, actually, they're coming out kind of nice. I haven't painted the base part yet, but I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but they're actually coming out nice. I actually painted multiple layers of different colored greens, and then I used and fluorescent greens, and then I used some Waywatcher green glaze from Citadel, and I don't know if they still make this one.
Okay.
But it's really nice. Putting this glaze over it has really made it kind of luminescent for the weird stuff.
Cool.
I'm not sure if it'd be able. Well, maybe if I just did this.
Blow his screen up, Rusty. Can you make Palmer big?
I don't know if you'd be able to see it.
I want to see what you've been working on.
It's kind of hard to see.
Move the. Can you get a? Turn that down.
Turn it down.
Yeah, so you got less glare.
Sometimes it'll brighten up too once it's not trying to.
There you go.
Oh, that might be better.
There. That's better.
Put your hand above it so you don't have as much top light coming off of it.
Well, even now, I don't think there's that much.
Yeah, I can see it a lot better. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's looking good. It's kind of hard to see in the camera, but it's looking kind of nice.
I get the gist of it.
For the weird stone. I gotta still paint the base, and then I'll paint some like glow around for it. But yeah,
cool.
So yeah, so we're coming 3 minutes towards the close of season 6, which is amazing to think that it's. You still got me blown up there, Rusty. You're making me uncomfortable.
Well, you haven't been. You've been
I don't want
quietly painting in the corner.
Yeah, you've been just hunkered in there. I wanted to make sure I wanted to see what you're
Still
getting
alive.
done because that was some intense paint work there going.
Well, actually, I did. I got a lot of
focused.
painting done tonight. But no, yeah. So I was actually really fairly motivated with the painting. But no, it's been a great season 6. And it's amazing to think that we've been doing this for 6 years now, and going into season 7. And so it's been fun. In a lot of ways, when we first started this, it felt like it was about producing something for others, because we had these topics and we would prepare, and it was a lot of fun. Like I got a lot out of it socially, but it also, we kind of put a lot of energy in it for others. And we developed, we have like kind of a cool group of people that would stop by. But then, in all honesty, this season in particular, a lot of it was it felt like it was for me too. I really felt, because I was struggling with painting this season, and just life, like distractions and things. Like I felt at times, I felt like, I'm not like an example, on this show of like this ultimate inspiration of a wargamer painter, but I am just like a normal guy that's just trying to get some painting done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the season's really been good for me. Like I've had times where I was just like not sure, oh gosh, I haven't done anything this week. I've been so busy. I've got the paint, we got a Musty show coming up. And then by the time we got here, between hanging out and then doing the painting, I felt like, well, this was really good for me. You know what I mean? And so honestly, I don't know. It's nice when I would watch shows and get that from watching other people's shows, but with this, even as somebody that's kind of in front of the camera, felt that way. So he's cutting his curtain call. Daredevil's got the curtain call here.
He's got it.
Yeah, so let me do a quick blow up here. All right, that's what I got done tonight.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
It's looking really good, Rusty.
Yeah, that is coming along nice.
Are you using purples in there?
A dark. Oh, it's almost a purple. It's a really dark purplish red.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the base.
Nice.
And then I'm bringing these. There's this. What the heck is it? Apple barrel. Apple red. That's going over top of it. So you got this dark base going over it.
Mm-hmm.
You can sort of see it in the belt right here.
Oh,
That's
there
kind
it
of
is.
a purplish look.
That's where you
brown.
started.
And
Okay.
then you go over top of it. And I've working a lot on this helmet there. So
That looks good. That's awesome.
no. Give me enough time. I'll get anything done.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Jeez. Yeah, the paint and champ format is fun, which Clark mentions there on his comment. Just it's just kind of like it just informal like hangout because I like to listen to this kind of thing like when I'm painting, like the Plastic Crack podcast. I'll listen to, just and that's motivational to me, and just real informal, regular people. None of us are, and that's what regular people. I think it's find motivating.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, gentlemen, it's
it feels a bit ado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I hope everybody has a great summer. I guess we're into summer now, right? When does technically summer start? Yesterday.
Yeah.
So this is kind of apt because
it's really weird because the days just seem to get shorter now.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's like when I go south, it feels like walking downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody that came in and chatted amongst themselves and made comments, and it keeps it interesting, and it's fun to interact with everybody this way. That's one of the things I like most about these kind of things, where you can interact with people from all around the world even. So
absolutely.
Yep. If we can't get a game going, we can always have a chat about it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, until the next BattleTech, I'll see you guys. One more drop left. I'll see you guys next season.
All right. Yep. You guys have a good summer. And Rusty, we'll be getting together. We'll see what July brings. That's my goal.
Yeah, the first week or two for me in July is kind of screwed up, but
that's perfect. Third week, fourth week.
Yep.
Before the fair for you.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. See ya.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye.
Nothing ever.